Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. And today I'm at Papa Tex and Granny Terry's house, and we're making bread and butter pickles. And she's going to help me in the kitchen. She's back here behind me getting things started. And we've already got our cucumbers sliced up and our onions, and we've got them in salt water. And we're going to be making bigger batches. The recipe that I'm using is in the Ball Canning book, and this is the one that I use. It's the one that I trust, and it's the traditional bread and butter pickle recipe. The only thing that I change in it is it calls for celery seed, and Howie did not like celery seed, so I don't put it in the pickles, even though he wasn't the biggest fan of them. If there was ever a chance for me to get to him to eat them, if he knew celery seed was in it, he wouldn't even try them. He's the same way with tuna salad or anything. He just did not like celery seed, and he would swear that he could taste it. So yeah, I just left them out. So anyway, this recipe, I'll put it in the description below. It calls for enough ingredients to make 6-pint jars, but we're going to make quart jars, and we're going to be tripling the recipe of the brine because we don't want it to have to turn around every couple of jars and make another batch. So this is a real easy, simple recipe to double, to triple, whatever you want to do to make the recipe work for you. So what we've already got started here is our cucumbers and our onions, and the recipe for 5 pints calls for 10 cups. And I can't tell you how many cups I've got in there. We just cut them all up, and we cut our onions up, and we'll just make them until we're done. And so we've already got them sliced. The recipe will tell you. Let me get you over there so you can see. Okay, so we've already got our cucumbers and our onions sliced up, and I put pickling salt on them. Let me show you that, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. This is our pickling salt. Now, I'm not suggesting a particular brand. This is just what we use. And so I just sprinkle that on the top. The recipe calls for a half a cup, and I sprinkle it on there. And then we let the onion and the cucumber set, and you can see all of this liquid here. See all of that? That is from the salt drawing the moisture out of the cucumbers and the onions. Now, they say that that helps your cucumbers not to be bitter, the same way that you would do eggplant, or so I've been told. I don't eat eggplant. I can't say that I don't really like it. I've just never really tried it. But anyway, it's supposed to take the bitterness out, and I think it helps to get the pickles ready, the cucumber slices ready to put in your brine. This is what they look like. If you was to taste one right now, they are extremely salty. You would not like it. So we're going to get these rinsed off real good, and then we'll show you the next step. While Granny's back there getting those cucumbers rinsed and getting all the salt off of them, I thought I would share a little bit of something with you. And I'm a doodler, and you know what I mean by that. I draw pictures on everything. When I'm on the phone, I always have a piece of paper in front of me, and because I'd like to write down what the person said, because most of the time I forget. But then I also, if they put me on hold, I draw little pictures and all kinds of stuff. Well, I was looking through my book, and in today's recipe that we're using for traditional bread and butter pickles, I found one of my notes here. It's a recipe that I had down for pickles, and on the back side of it I had written a list of things to do for the day. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I am. And I wrote down, I don't know if you guys can see that, water the plants, work up my peppers, do some laundry, and fill my hummingbird feeders. Later on in the day, I come back to my note, and if you guys can see it, it says, no cat napping and no Oprah Winfrey. This handwriting right here is my sweet Howie's handwriting. If you go on down, he writes, Cook supper. I love you. And he drew this little picture of me and him. And down at the bottom it says, you light up my life. And it's dated 7/13/2016. I love that. I've seen it before, and I thought it was neat that today I opened my book up to bread and butter pickles for this video and this recipe, and there that was. And so I'm still getting love letters from Howie, not in the traditional way, but it still blesses my heart. And I thought you guys might enjoy that. So we're gonna get back to making pickles here. Okay, so we have our steam canner going here. We've got our quart jars. We can them in quart jars. You can can them in pint jars or quart jars, whichever. We're going with quart jars. We've got them in the steam canner coming up to temperature, so all of your products are going to be hot. On bread and butter pickles, you put your pickles, your cucumbers, in the brine when it comes to temperature, and cook them for just a little bit before you put them in the jar. So this time you're not going to be packing the jars with raw cucumbers. So everything needs to be the same temperature, so you don't have any thermal issues when you put your filled jars back into your hot canner. So we're going to get started here, and we're going to start out by putting our vinegar in there.
Okay.
Now we're going to triple this recipe, and we're going to put one recipe is 3 cups, so we're going to put in 9 cups of vinegar. Did you lose count?
No, this is only 8.
8? Okay.
Yep. So we need more.
Okay, we have the vinegar in, and the next thing that we're going to put is our sugar. Now for a single recipe, it's 2 cups of sugar. For this, because we've tripled it, we're going to use, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, 6 cups of sugar. And so Terry's going to dump it in there now. And then our next 2 ingredients are mustard seed and the turmeric. The mustard seed, we need 2 tablespoons for each batch, and so we've tripled it, so that's 6 tablespoons, and you just put them in there. This mustard seed I got from the Amish store, and they get bulk, and then they break it down in smaller packages, and you can't really beat their prices. 6. And then she's going to put in the turmeric, and it's 1 teaspoon per batch, and we've got 3, so we'll put in 3 teaspoons.
Ooh, this smells good.
And this is what gives it its color, that yellow, that golden yellow color. And be sure that if you have light colored countertops, that turmeric will stain. So you want to make sure that you don't get any of the turmeric on your counters. She's using a wooden spoon, and it's probably stirred tea and no telling what, so it's already good and stained.
Oh, ma'am, this will be my table.
But you don't want to use, you don't want to use anything that is white or that you care, because once that turmeric stains it, you can't really get it off of there, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's kind of like making beets. Okay, so this is going to cook, and it's going to come to a boil. The only other ingredient that you would add is, like I've already told you, you would add a teaspoon of celery seed for every batch, but we're leaving the celery seed out. Those kind of things, your spices, you don't have to worry about your spices. You can interchange those, you can leave them out. It's your solution itself, your vinegars, your sugars. Those are the things that are the preservatives, and you cannot skimp on those. So we're just going to let this come to a boil, and then after it comes to a boil, and the sugar dissolves and everything works together, then we're going to add in our cucumbers, and we'll return it to a boil, and then it'll be ready to put in jars. The solution has come to a boil, and now it's time to put the cucumbers and onions in there, and so Terry's just going to carefully put those in there, and the solution, of course, the cucumbers will cool it down and it'll stop boiling, but we're going to put them in there, and we'll get that back up to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll be able to put them in the jars, and we'll debubble and clean the jars and pack them as usual. So we're going to let this go a little bit longer and let these come up to a boil, and then we'll finish the process out. Terry's filling the jars. The solution and the pickles came back to a boil, and so now it's time to fill. And so she's filling the jars. She'll get this in here, and then we'll put some of the solution in, and then we'll clean. You really want to make sure that you wipe the jars clean on the top, because this is a sweet pickle, and that we don't want that syrup. Hold on just a second, Terry. Okay. Go ahead and bring that jar back, and we're going to put solution in it and debubble and do all that process for you. And so we're having to we had to come up with a new game plan, because I left all of my tools at home, my funnel and my jar lifter and all that. So what she's done is she's put that juice in there, the brine, and she's going to debubble now. That's what she's doing. And she's going to, let me get you guys in there a little bit closer so you can see. And she's going to wipe that top really good and get a lid and ring put on there. We'll do this one. I'm kind of working behind the camera today, and she's doing all the work, so
That's right. I enjoy it.
she's debubbling the jar there. I could scooch up a little bit closer so you can kind of got the second one filled, and we're just going to continue getting these jars. We're going to continue to get these jars filled, and we'll bring you back. What we'll do is get the jars filled. We'll get we put them in this steam canner, and we'll process them just like we did with dill pickles. They'll go 10 minutes, and then when that's done, I'll bring you back and I'll show you what we've got. So the canner's full, and what we'll do now is put the lid on it, and we will bring this up to temperature. Remember, this steam canner has a dial gauge at the top, and when it gets to my altitude, where I live, it gets over to the dark green on the gauge, and it's up to temperature, and we'll time it for 10 minutes. When it's all done and we get it out of the canner and have it over on the towel, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here is the finished results. 9 jars of bread and butter pickles, and this will be able to be tomorrow, after they set 24 hours, we'll be able to take the bands off and wash the jars, because they'll be sticky and you don't want to put them on your shelf sticky. So we'll get them washed and cleaned up, get the names written on them, and get them on the shelf. Where are you going?
I thought we were going to be over here doing this.
No, I don't have to can that, because I already filmed jelly. So I don't have to do it.
Okay.
Well, guys, there's the recipe for
Bread and butter pickles.
Okay, guys, there's the recipe for bread and butter pickles, and it takes me 2 or 3 times to figure out what I'm going to say at the end.
But we'll rewind and have better tomorrow.
Not live, but it is
No,
filming.
she's filming it.
You're filming like this?
Yeah,
She can block it out.
I
She'll
can cut it.
Okay, one.
Don't do that. I won't be able to.
I don't have the little wood block.
Oh, that's a weird.
Yeah.
Take one. Take two.
Take one, take two, take three.
Okay, guys, the process is over. We've got our bread and butter pickles made. We'll get those on the shelf, and we'll move on to other things.
This is the blooper. These are the blooper film.
It takes me forever.
Pretty good.
This is what happens every time.
Funny on TV. I don't watch.
You
This is the Terry and Stacy bloopers.
Cheyenne used to laugh at me so bad.
We won't laugh.
Okay, here we go.
Just a second.
Count down for it.
No, don't do it.
3, 2, 1.
There you have it, guys. Bread and butter pickles. I hope you guys have enjoyed the recipe. We've got them made. They're out here cooling off, and they'll be able to go on the pantry shelf, and we're looking well to the ways of our household. Until next time, this is Josie and Granny Terry with Cedar Creek Homestead. I love you guys. I really do. We're gone.
You got it, girl.